As my dad likes to say, DIY is DYI. And what that means is if you do it yourself, you do yourself in. There's people who think that they could set up an LLC all by themselves. Oh, I did the filing at the Secretary of State and I got some random registered agent. I should be good to go. The fact of the matter is, unfortunately, that's not the case. There's a lot of cheaper services out there that do that. But when you have a rental property, you need to make sure that you don't just have the articles, that you have all the documentation that you need.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Real Estate Pros podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Kessel, and today I'm joined by someone I'm looking forward to chatting with, Ted Sutton, who is a lawyer licensed to practice law in Wyoming, Nevada, and Texas, specializing in business law and supporting investors. So excited to have you here today, Ted.
Yeah, Michelle, thanks for having me on.
Of course. So let's dive in. First off, for those not yet familiar with you and your work, can you share what your main focus is?
Yeah, so some of you might have heard of my dad, Garrett Sutton. He's a rich dad advisor. He's worked with Robert Kiyosaki. He's written a bunch of books in the Rich Dad series. And so what our specialty is we specialize in asset protection for real estate investors. So what we do is we make sure that if you have a rental property, we set up the LLC for you and we have the right structure in place just to make sure that your assets are protected. Just because this is a very litigious society we live in, people sue over the most worthless things. They file a bunch of meaningless lawsuits. And if you're a real estate investor and you have a lot of assets, there's a target on your back. And so it's really, really important to have this entity structure in place to make sure that your assets are protected and you can preserve your wealth when that lawsuit comes. So that's mainly what we specialize in, is just the entity formation and maintenance for real estate investors.
Amazing. And so, what are some of the main problems that you find real estate investors have to go through that you help them resolve?
Yeah, so I think when it comes to real estate investing, I mean, it really is a team sport. And there's some people out there who think that they could do it themselves. But as my dad likes to say, DIY is DYI. And what that means is if you do it yourself, you do yourself in. There's people who think that they could set up an LLC all by themselves. Oh, I did the filing at the Secretary of State and I got some random registered agent. I should be good to go. The fact of the matter is, unfortunately, that's not the case. There's a lot of cheaper services out there that do that. But when you have a rental property, you need to make sure that you don't just have the articles, that you have all the documentation that you need. You need to have an EIN number so you can get a separate bank account. You need to have an operating agreement to show how the LLCs govern.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
You need to have annual meetings and have annual minutes of those meetings. And you also need to make sure that you're paying your filing fees every year to the Secretary of State. So I think where people go wrong is they just jump right into it. They buy a property in their individual name, or they use a cheap service to do the bare minimum with an LLC, and neither of those provide them with protection. And, recently we've gotten a lot of calls from people who want to switch over to us just because they used a cheap service and it ended up, they weren't happy with it and they didn't get the protection that they needed. So I think from my perspective, the biggest thing is that people tend to skip some steps along their real estate investing journey. And the easiest way to avoid that is just to pay a little more upfront to get your structure right. Um, the analogy I like using is that an LLC is kind of like the foundation of your house. You get it right and you're going to be protected moving forward. But if you cut corners and, you do the bare minimum there, you could have structural issues down the road. And so that's one of the things that I see. And it's just really, really important to have that foundation in place because it'll save you problems in the future.
Absolutely. And is this something that you do with investors that are just starting, or is there a process for those that have been in the industry for a bit as well?
Yeah, well, I think for a lot of the people who start, we help people kind of all over the place. We have clients that have built a portfolio of 30 LLCs, if not more. And so, we've helped the experienced investors, but we do also help the beginning investors too. I recommend just coming to us first if you're starting out, just because we can get that structure right. We can get that foundation laid. And, whenever that foundation's laid, I mean, it's going to give you protection into the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And what are some maybe common obstacles that you see investors bump into?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just not assembling a right team. Um, I think y- I would say not assembling a team and then not giving themselves enough time to get everything in place. I think there's some people who have trouble finding a property manager or, somebody who can lend them money for, the remaining balance of a mortgage. There's all these things. I think people, they tend to sort of do things in a knee jerk way. And I think that could really hinder them because if you're acting last minute, um, you may not be in the best situation. So I think it's important to just take a step back and sort of plan things out ahead of time just to get that structure right and to have all the pieces in place. Whenever you start your investing journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And what do you see as some opportunities right now for how you can help investors in a different way?
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more. and schedule a call with our team today.
Hmm. Well, I think, in all honesty, the market's been a little slow over the past few years. When COVID hit and interest rates were at 3%, I mean, they're at historical lows and properties were worth half of what they are now. There was a really big boom. And so, right now interest rates are a little over 6%, with the Iran war and everything that's going on, and property values are really high. So I think it's really important to be able to crunch the numbers. There are good deals out there for sure. But on our end, we've noticed a little bit of a slowdown. I think people are waiting for rates to come down a little bit. People are waiting for more inventory to reach the market. And so, at least on our end, I mean, it's been a little slow, but there are opportunities out there. I think just having, again, knowing people who have leads, knowing people who can find you deals, doing the numbers, running a pro forma, looking to see what the cash flow is going to be. I think that's really important now. Um, I mean, I honestly wish it was a little better, but I think maybe we'll have to wait a little bit. I don't think rates are going to come down to 3%, though. I think that's probably never going to happen, at least for a while, unless something catastrophic happens. But, I think people are just kind of hitting the pause button. But again, like I said, there are some deals out there if you know the right people and, the numbers make sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And what are you kind of working on right now in your business?
That's right. So what I'm doing, I mean, we have this succession plan in place. So my dad started Corporate Direct, which is, the business formation service. He's been associated with Rich Dad. And so this has been in place for 25, 30 years. And so we have a succession plan in place to where he's sort of phasing his way out. He's working on a lot of projects of his own. I mean, he's a very creative guy. Never a dull moment with him. There's always something going on. And so, he's kind of leaning more towards that, handling more of that. And then I'm handling more of the management of the business. So, that's been exciting. That's been really fun. But I'm working on some projects of my own. And, we were talking about this before the podcast. I'm actually writing a book that's going to be released in the next few months. And the gist of the book is that it's designed to simplify the law, everything I learned in law school, for kids who are ages 12 to 18. But it's narrated by a dog whose owner is a lawyer. And so it's a really great story because the dog learns the law by sitting in a dog bed next to his attorney's desk. And he uses he uses a story to teach the law to kids. And unfortunately, the law is not a topic that's taught in schools, kind of like financial education and real estate investing and all these other things. And so I've spent 3 years working on it just to make sure that it's as good as it possibly can be. But for anyone out there who's a parent that has kids that are in that age range who want to invest in real estate, I think this is a great starting point for them. I think there's a lot of information in there for real estate investors or for anyone else that can really help guide them into adulthood and sort of prepare them for what's going to come. Because, I mean, the law does work its way into our everyday lives. And unfortunately, right now, people don't know much about it. They don't know how to handle it. And so that's why I spent 3 years working on this book, is just to simplify the law and just give people a resource and a guide that they could use to tackle real world challenges.
Awesome. That's such an exciting project.
Definitely. It's been a long time coming, so it's going to feel really good when it gets published.
Absolutely. And so, what are some maybe points you can give from the book about the law that most people don't know, but you think should know?
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Yeah, well, I think the first one is that your actions have consequences. I think most people get that, but there's some kids out there who unfortunately don't. I've seen kids. I live in Reno, and there was a vandalism at a local high school, and I know one of the kids who was involved in it. And I think there's some young people out there who think that they're invincible, that they could never get in trouble for doing something stupid, and that's simply not true. Uh, and if you're a parent out there, you don't want your kids to be irresponsible doing stupid stuff. So I think that's a big thing. And there's no book out there that teaches you that. I think another thing is drafting contracts and being able to understand them. When you get out of high school and you graduate college, you're going to sign a lease to live somewhere and you're going to sign an employment contract too. And so understanding how that works is really important. Unfortunately, there's no resources out there that teach that to you. And so I think that's another big point. And then another thing is just the Bill of Rights and civics. Um, unfortunately, civics is not a topic that's taught in schools, and people don't know how our government works, which is really, really concerning. There's a lot of discontent and anger out there. And people just get mad at whatever people see, whatever they read on the internet. But it's unfortunate because they don't know how the government works. They're just emotional and angry about everything. And so I think it's important for people to understand civics and how things work, because when you understand how things work, that's how you can affect change. And so I think that's another big point. But again, it's all the stuff that I learned in law school that they don't teach to the general public. And this is a resource that people can use to help them in their everyday lives. And I really hope it sells well. I put a lot of time and energy into this, and I hope it has a positive impact on society.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think there's not many people doing something like that, so it should be something
No,
unique.
and
Yeah.
that's why I did it. I think there was a huge void there. You could look on Amazon, and there really isn't a comprehensive resource that simplifies all this stuff for kids and young adults. And so the title's called Greenback's Book of Law. Greenback is the friendly golden doodle who teaches people the law. And it'll be unleashed onto the market in the next few months here. So be on the lookout for it. You should be able to buy it on Amazon when it comes out.
Amazing. And so, what do you feel are some of the main things that, you know, either just investors or other people in the real estate industry should know about the law?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing is that the law touches on everything when it comes to real estate investing. When you sign a contract, when you enter into agreements with, lease agreements, when you have, um, you know, uh, all these contractual obligations that are involved in real estate. Um, it ties into that. And then whenever you have a tenant, the lease agreement, that's a contract. But if tenant gets injured on the property, then the law is going to tie its way into that too. So, I mean, it affects everything. It's not just real estate investing. This is for any adult out there. And so I think a lot of it in real estate ties into contractual and just general liability. But again, just having a basic understanding of that will help people in the future because it'll allow them to handle certain challenges in a certain way and resolve conflicts more efficiently, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. And so, once you set up a client with like the structure for their business, is there any follow up support or it's just that's like the main purpose?
Yeah, so that's what distinguishes us from other people on the market is that in a lot of cases, people just recommend a structure without much thought. We've had a lot of clients who come to us recently because they got set up and then there was no follow up after that. And so when it comes to having the right entity structure in place, it is an ongoing thing. There's a lot of people out there, and there's a misconception that it's just one and done. You get the LLC set up and you're done. But in reality, you need to make sure that you're maintaining that LLC into the future. Just because you need to have a separation between your personal assets and your business assets. And so, we make sure that the separation is in place and that you're maintaining what we call the corporate veil, where there's a separation between your business assets and your personal assets. And so, the ongoing compliance is something that we take it, that we help people with. And, unfortunately, a lot of other people don't do that.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. Well, that's awesome that you're able to offer that support.
Definitely.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you would say investors should make sure that they're getting covered?
Well, I think having insurance is the first line of defense. So definitely that. I think another thing is just having a team of advisors who can help you on your real estate investing journey. It's really important to find people who specialize in a certain area who can provide that support. Because if you do it yourself, you're going to do yourself in. And so having a team of people who can help, property management, bookkeeping, legal, taxes, all these important things. If you have all those in place, you're going to have the foundation to have success into the future. And so I think, investing is a team sport, and it's really, really important to assemble that all-star squad who can help you.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And before we begin to wrap up here, if someone wants to reach out, connect, and learn more, where can people find you and connect with you?
That's right. So you could go to corporatedirect.com. We have a lot of free information. We have a lot of articles there that you can use to sort of educate yourself. And, if you want to schedule a free 15-minute consultation with one of our incorporating specialists, there's a scheduling link on our home page. So you can do that. Another place is you could find us on YouTube. Corporate Direct is a YouTube channel where I post videos once a week. And there's a lot of good content there, very educational. So, if you're not looking to set up an LLC right away, there's a lot of free information that we provide for you. And when you're ready to take that step and you want to have that structure in place, we'd be happy to assist you in any way that we can.
Perfect. Well, appreciate your time, your story, your perspective. Thank you for being here.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me on, Michelle.
Of course. And for those tuning into the show, if you got value, make sure you've subscribed. We've got more conversations with operators like Ted who are building real businesses, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.